Brought to you in part by Food Service Consultants Society International, the Americas. Visit us at fcsi.org to find the best food service consulting experts.
We are here at the Kitchen Innovation Pavilion at the 2014 National Restaurant Show. The Kitchen Innovations Pavilion is based around cutting-edge technology at the National Restaurant Show, and you actually won the award this year for this new fryer. And the actual model is the PowerFry5, is that correct?
That is correct. It's called the PowerFry5, and the reason for that is for the number of different heat passes that go through the fryer before exhausting out the flue stack temperature.
Is this the model that you're talking about, Paul?
Right. This is, when you take a look at standard fryers typically have a one-pass heat transfer system. So that means you've got your flame basically, you've got a tube, and then you've got a flue stack temperature. And what happens is the flame goes through the tube, heats up some materials on the inside, which is called a baffle, radiates heat out of the tube into the oil, and then you have your exhaust. And typically, most standard fryers have a flue stack temperature around 1100 degrees. Right. What we decided to do is harness that energy. Instead of having all that going up into the hood systems and the air conditioning systems in most kitchens, we decided to take that heat and reuse it. Okay. And what we did was we came up with a system that has one baffle and one burner inside here. Okay. And this burner inside here transfers the heat and blows heat through this tube 3 times going back and forth.
Look at that.
We also have a baffle that goes in the back of the tailpipes. We have one in each one of these tailpipes, and what this does is help slow down the heat enough so that it transfers the heat into the oil very quickly.
Okay.
But we didn't stop there. One of the other things that we did was we decided to continue using the heat, and as this exits the fryer, we have a manifold back here, and it turns it around and heats the fryer from the outside in. Oh, wow. 2 more passes, giving you the FivePass Heat Transfer system. And when you think about that 1100 degrees that I mentioned earlier that's coming out of the flue, we have temperatures that are under 500 degrees. So where's the extra temperature going? It's going into the oil, that's where you want it.
Yeah, right.
And what that does is it gives us quick recovery. So we're heating the oil 3 times from the inside and 2 times from the outside in, all at the same time.
Right.
And that's what gives you the productivity numbers, the efficiency numbers, and that's why we won the award.
In terms of efficiency, what kind of number do you gain compared to a standard fryer?
Standard fryers are probably in the mid-40s. To get Energy Star qualification, you have to get 50 or higher. Well, we didn't want to just go 50 like some of our competitors do. We wanted to leapfrog over them.
Sure. Okay.
To give an example, our PowerFry5 45-pound, 50-pound fryer is 66% cooking efficiency. Going to the next stage up, we went to 68% cooking efficiency with a 65-pound fryer. Go to our 85, we're at 65. We are leapfrogging above the 50s where most of my competitors still are.
So in terms of our viewers, that would equal a reduced amount of gas usage, which in turn saves dollars for them as well.
Exactly.
Correct?
Instead of having the 120,000 or plus type of BTUs as required for a fryer, our fryers only require now 70,000 BTUs for a 50-pound fryer. Wow. Because again, we took that heat and we harnessed it. It's no longer the more BTUs, the better. It's how you take that heat and transfer it into the oil. That's what's different. That's why, again, we won the award for this.
You know, Eric, from an operations and a brand standpoint, I just love the name PowerFry, Paul. I love PowerFry. When I hear power, it makes me feel good. So I just have a good feeling about that unit when I look at it.
Well, yeah, it looks like the exhaust manifold on a hot rod. You know, that's great.
It's like something you'd see on Harley Davidson.
Yeah,
I think I had a Mustang 66 that was about that kind of tailspin on it, you know?
And the fryers, the Vulcan fryers have always had great accessories and great things to go with them, and I assume the PowerFry5 also does with the integrated filtration systems, that type of thing.
We have our Clean Screen Plus filtration system that removes the particulate from the oil and extends out the life of the oil. So not only are you saving energy, you're saving oil in long run, again, elongating the life of that, and you're getting the productivity all at one time. Sure. You get, basically you got a win-win-win. Higher productivity, longer oil life, and saving energy.
Well, Paul, you know, I love this fryer. Let's go over and take a closer look at your unit, okay?
Terrific.
You know, Paul, I'm looking at your front control panel here, and I see it's all flat, digital, and sealed. That's going to be a lot easier because in the old days when I was in the kitchen, we had mechanical things and, you know, knobs are breaking off or oil was getting down into this. this looks like it's going to be a lot easier to clean and maintain by an end user operator, right?
You're totally right with the knobs on the front. We found that in the past, a lot of customers were complaining that as they push carts down the narrow aisles, they'll actually break off those knobs or actually change the temperature and not realize as they rub up against it.
Right.
They also had rocker switches the same way, which all of a sudden they'd go into a different mode and they wouldn't realize it. So we do have it nice and clear here. We have 3 different types of solid state controls that are available. For the customers that do not want a sophisticated control as far as the different digital options and the different programming options that we have a simple control that is basically you turn the temperature to the set temperature that you want.
Okay.
You turn it on, you hit the start button, and close the door. It's as simple as that.
That looked like 1, 2, 3 to me, Paul.
Basically, it's 1, 2, 3, and you're done. The second stage basically has digital controls. This has built-in timers. When you put in the built-in timers, you hit the left timer, it'll start counting down. When it's done, an audible signal will come up. This also has your filter button up here versus the analog down here. And it's got some programming. You can program it where you can set the left timer, you can set the right timer, you can have compensated cook time. Moving from this control to this control has 10 timers built in. This is one that has a lot of appetizers, a lot of different product you're cooking.
Okay.
This is 10 full timers, not just 5 on the left or 5 on the right, but 10 full timers in here. And now when I do this and I put in you can actually see it has a name on it, actually showing you what it is, which button we push, and how many seconds left.
So Paul, we're showing a French fry menu item right here. So
Exactly.
a specific menu item or an ingredient can be programmed into how you're cooking.
So, right, and here's give you an example. You can also have chicken breasts, things like that. Now these times are not set for the particular, but it gives you the illustration of it.
Right.
Now let's make it even easier for our end users.
Okay.
Let's give them a software package which comes with every one of these controls, and let's have them be able to do it on a desktop or a laptop. Upload the program onto
Really?
that. Type in your menu items, save it to one of the memory sticks, and plug it into the USB interface. And it stays on here, so you can actually have a spring menu, a summer menu, a fall, and a winter menu, all on this one stick, and be able to change it based on season. Also, if you have a corporate chef that has 10, 15, 20 stores or more, they can email the program.
Oh, wow.
Managers download it to the USB interface, and what they can do is put it in the fryer. You've got 3, 4, 5 of these fryers. 1, 2, 3. It's all updated.
All programmable.
As simple as the USB interface. One other thing that we have is when you boil out your tank, and you eventually have to clean your tank, we came up with a patented idea of another innovation of how to get the water out of the tank.
Okay.
With most of my competitors, what happens is you put in your water, you put in your caustic cleaner, you clean it really good. It's at about 190 degrees temperature.
Right.
You can't run them through the motor pumps.
Oh.
If you dump it into the vessel, it contaminates the oil. If you run it through the tubes, it contaminates the inside of the tube.
Well, what do you do, Paul?
What do you do? We have a boil-out bypass here. This boil-out bypass system bypasses the
Look at that, Eric.
entire system. This is our boil-out bypass pipe. I'm not plugging it in down here. I'm not screwing it down here. That doesn't do anything. It goes all the way at the top.
So you're totally bypassing any water getting into this
I'm
drain
all the way
pipe
up
at
into
all.
the drain valve.
That's sensational.
All the way up in the drain valve. Now, the water comes out this way, bypasses the tube, and if this was on this side, it would do the same thing, bypass the tube, keeping the tube clean of contaminated oil, water, and we don't want to contaminate the oil.
Right.
In addition, this is a hose fitting, so if you don't want to put a bucket here, you put a standard high temperature blue hose that you can get at any of the home improvement stores, and put it right to a floor drain.
Right to a drain.
Now you're rinsing it out with hot water, and hot water is going down the drain. Reverse the process, dry your tank, and you can put new oil back right in.
Well, that is going to save so much time, Eric, for an operator closing down at the end of the night on a per day, per shift basis.
Right, it's
No
all
tools.
about maximizing the ease of use for the customer, it seems like.
No tools are required. We tether the cap so nobody can lose it. We also give a place for the boil-out bypass to go
Look
on.
at that, so
right.
it's not going to get lost in the kitchen.
Right, exactly. One other thing, a feature that is I want to mention about this also is when you open up most fryers, you see a blue flame.
Right.
And with the blue flame, that means heat's getting into the cabinet. This is a completely sealed combustion system. You'll see no blue flame. That means everything stays cool inside the cabinet. All your controls that are down here and up here, all the heat is pushed back where the oil is.
And that probably extends the life of the controls, because we know that heat automatically does not go with electronics. So.
Exactly.
Exactly. One thing that we talked about earlier, that we haven't talked about, is total cost of ownership.
Right,
Eric,
right.
And, you know, the budget constraints that operators are facing.
In our episode that we talked about total cost of ownership, you figure out, you know, what is this actually going to truly cost me over the life of the entire product. I think there's some great opportunities with this, because now you're reducing your oil consumption because you're filtering it regularly, and you can move it and use it for a longer period of time. It also is reducing gas consumption. You know, that is an immediate savings to the customer. So in regards to total cost of ownership, I think this is drastically less than maybe a standard fryer.
And if you look at the labor impact that Paul's talking about, these efficiencies that are created,
right.
I know there's going to be a labor savings, a maintenance savings, Paul, on these for all the preventive maintenance that has to typically go on. Sounds like we're able to wipe this down pretty fast and be ahead of the game.
Well, Paul, thank you very much for taking the time to speak with us today.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Paul.